Good morning. Good morning.
GM, how's it going?
Good, man. Good. It was a nice little day yesterday for Beanz and Azuki holders. Can't wait to dive into that. And OpenSea volumes uptrending a little bit, so can't wait to dive in, man. How are you?
Doing good. Yeah, we had a nice little chat yesterday about Azuki and the Beanz. Can talk a bit about that this morning. Break that down a bit more. Seeing some good rebounding of volume, which is always nice to see as well. Excited to get to it. A bunch to talk about. 3 big stories, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone, welcome to the 25th episode of the WGMI Morning Show. This is where we bring you everything and anything you need to know about the NFT market in 30 minutes or less using WGMI's various tools and analytics. We have the newsfeed, we have the portfolio tools, and we have the analytics to provide you that competitive advantage and hopefully help you make some money in this market. If you like what you see, DM us the word newsfeed for a chance to win a 7-day trial to use all of our WGMI tools and analytics. It will we give 1 7-day trial away per show, so you don't want to miss out on that. Couple of market stories we're going to cover today. The first, obviously, being Azuki and Beanz seeing a nice pump yesterday. Azuki was up 18% and Beanz up 27% as far as floor price goes. But we're going to unpack maybe why there may be more to the story than meets the eye and possible speculation on what might be coming from here. And happy Moonbirds gold nesting eve, Ray. We're going to cover what might be come from these rewards, if it's priced in already, if there's a high performance risk, and what to make of that. As always, we'd appreciate if you retweet the broadcast if you're listening on Twitter, or like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. We are WGMI.io on YouTube if you want to check us out. If you're listening on Twitter, to be able to comment and chat with us there. But moving on to the market report for the day, this is brought to you by WGMI's newsfeed account. This is where we post some of the news that populates our newsfeed and a daily morning snapshot. Yesterday's OpenSea volume was $11.4 million, a little bit of an uptick there. Good to see it in double digits. And Ethereum is sitting at 1324. So not a lot of movement there, but the 24-hour volume for OpenSea is headed by Azuki with 67 sales. I can't remember last time I saw this much volume for Azuki, to be honest with you, Ray, on OpenSea. 962 ETH in volume. They're now sitting at 11.4 ETH floor after topping out at almost 12 ETH yesterday. CryptoPunk's doing 10 sales yesterday, 422 ETH in volume, sitting at a 67 ETH floor almost. And then you have the Nihilings doing 921 sales yesterday, 20% listed, which is not great to see there, but they are up. When you look at just the 1 day 24-hour change, they're up 0.07 ETH in the last 24 hours. You have Beanz rounding out number 4, 225 sales, 295 ETH in volume, sitting at a 1.04 ETH floor after they ran up to 1.2 ETH. So slight pullback there. We'll continue to monitor that as it plays out. And then you have Mutants coming in at number 5 with 15 sales, sitting at a 14 ETH floor. Hopefully seeing a little bit of a rally from them going forward. Overall, Ray, for me, what I'm seeing, I was scanning the dashboard for like 30 minutes this morning and last night, seeing a lot of red in the listings department, not a lot of volume as far as what I like to look for in terms of my indicators. So I'm kind of taking a wait and see approach and sticking to what I know, which is oddities and Beanz, looking to make a play there and hold my liquidity for those events. But Ray, as you see this and as you saw the market play out yesterday, any big takeaways for you?
Yeah, I mean, we were definitely keeping a close eye on Azuki and Beanz, watching them, pump up to those highs and then retrace a little bit after the announcement. I think that there was some excitement regarding the token or the announcement of the token standard, as well as the auctions for the skateboard. I don't think those on their own, I think we talked about this a little bit. Those weren't really, big catalysts in my mind for a large price movement. I think maybe people realized that, jumped in the hype, thought there was going to be a run, and then started to sell off. Outside of that, couple projects, moving a little bit. Good to see a little bit of volume coming to the Mutants. Good number of sales there, but kind of well spread out. There wasn't anything that really jumped out outside of that Beanz movement.
Seeing a bit of a pullback there from Digidaigaku, which might be what was exactly what we were talking about yesterday. Is like, hey, because they have this small collection, if and when this excitement dies off eventually, what can you expect to see there? So we'll keep a close eye on this, but it's such a small collection. They still had six sales and volume, but they are up to 77 listed now, so a little bit of an uptick there. But as this turns out, we will keep you guys updated on it. But yeah, you see that increase in listings there.
Yeah, and speaking of play to or free to own, free to play games, I was looking at Raft. This is one I've been following. Small collection, not much volume. This is sitting at 25 ETH yesterday, and they did their mint/airdrop of the islands. This is sitting at a 3 ETH floor airdrop for these assets that were trading at 25. After sitting at 25 all day yesterday, the undercutting has started. This is what you expect to see from these airdrop dilutive projects, where you do get the value and then you see the original drop in price a bit. So now you're looking at you can sell one of these. You can only sell one for 16 ETH. People yesterday were buying these for your 25 ETH a couple of days ago, 24 ETH. Getting airdrop this island that has a floor of 3. So do the math. These guys who are selling are making out. The set of the island plus the raft is not equaling the value of that raft pre-airdrop. So always something to be aware of. This is what you normally expect to see out of these airdrop projects. We haven't seen it out of Digidaigaku. It may be that we just see a delayed effect there.
Yeah, and we'll see how this plays out. This is kind of data gathering mode for you, Ray, possibly as we get closer to that incubation, that egg drop from Clone X. This could be good data for you to gather. Obviously, it's totally different collections there, and Nike will do what Nike does. Clone X will do what Clone X does, but something to monitor for you for future reference.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's definitely a bit of a difference between, a claim/airdrop versus a snapshot. You don't have that, value of the secondary collection well known and discovered at the time of a snapshot. So
right.
There's a bit more uncertainty. The price action can be a bit, more unknown in those scenarios. So something to keep an eye on for sure.
100%. Well, I'll let you, for me, this is all that I have. Maybe a couple other things to touch on at the end of the show. But other than that, we're seeing pretty much the market being relatively quiet. I don't have anything that to me screams a buy right now than what I've kind of covered in the past. What I will say, Ray, is Bored and Dangerous did rally. They bottomed out at 0.14, and now they're sitting at 0.19. So a little bit of a recovery there. What we were talking about before is hey, should I just dump this thing? Your reasoning, dude, don't dump when there's mass panic. Hold on to this thing. The reasons why you bought it are still there. And just like you were saying, it did pan out. So I did want to update you on that. And I'll let you take it from here as far as the news goes.
Yep, sounds good. Going to jump right into the newsfeed brought to you by WGMI. Come check out our newsfeed. Commit your pass now at WGMI.io. We're starting off with the big news of the day. Gold Nest rewards coming soon for Moonbirds holders. Anyone who's been nesting since the very beginning of nesting will see that Gold Nest status achieved tomorrow. Waiting on more details on what the gold nesting will be, what the rewards will be. We'll keep you updated on the newsfeed, but this definitely brings up some interesting questions about, the proof ecosystem, what's going to happen to Moonbirds. We've been watching oddities for a while. What are we expecting to see? Maybe we can do like a good case, bad case scenario on, what we're expecting to see and what our actions would be to capitalize.
Yeah, while you're pulling up the charts, maybe if you have a good one to pull up there, I just have the Project Explorer or the dashboard pulled up of the two. And yeah, you have Moonbirds sub 10 ETH. They've been kind of hovering at around this range. I haven't really seen too much movement out of them. We've covered this a good amount. And then Oddity sitting at almost 1.3. Over the last 30 days, Moonbirds is down 0.8 ETH. Oddities are trending. They were sitting at 1.2 ETH 30 days ago. But overall, you have 94 listed for Moonbirds, 302 listed for Oddities. I'd love your take, Ray, since this is kind of your ecosystem and what you have most familiarity with as far as what are people expecting. Maybe is this going to be a high performance risk, or do you think that after the last delivery that people maybe have lower expectations?
Yeah, I think people are coming in with tempered expectations. If you look at the last Nest reward here, I believe it came on the 19th of July. Of the double check, it might have been the 17th. I'll double check on my nesting site. But we saw that sharp drop off. It was maybe a bit of a culmination of things. We had the CCO announcement. We had future proof.
Is this Oddities? I think you might only be tracking Oddities here.
Yeah, so this is Oddities.
Okay.
So even though they're not directly getting these nested rewards, I know we're talking about Oddities a bit in terms of a good entry point and potentially a good buy. We've been talking about this as kind of a narrative throughout our show. Last time that these rewards were announced, we saw a floor of 3.45. I believe we had a reveal, we had the CCO announcement, and we had the Golden Moonbirds listing, all kind of creating a perfect storm. And we saw that floor price drop, down to a local bottom of 1.12 within a few weeks. We also saw, continue to trend down. We saw 0.65 before they really announced any more utility for the Oddities. I don't think we're going to see any kind of crazy, that drastic drop for Gold Nest if it underwhelms, because, we did have that reveal tied in. We did have the FUD around the CCO announcement as well. But I think that if it does underwhelm, we could see, a little lack of faith in the Moonbird ecosystem. And, that'll be reflected, to Oddities as well. So we can, look at Moonbirds. They followed suit. If we look at, we'll just track the floor of each of them since the start of Oddities. Go back a few months here, go back to the beginning of June, and separate those data sets out so they can kind of track together on their own scale. And we saw Oddities take a sharper dive, I think mainly due to the reveal, but we also saw Moonbirds kind of dropping since that silver nest. And, if Oddities are going to be based off a fraction of a Moonbird price, they're going to follow that Moonbird action as well. So even though nesting rewards aren't directly tied to Oddities, we will see, them follow suit. In the bullish case, if they do, surprise, come out with something that's interesting, that is rewarding holders in maybe a non-dilutive or value add way, I think there's more room to run. Could potentially miss this entry point we're talking about. We've been talking about patience plays. It is mid-October now. We're looking to 2023 for Moonbirds Mythics. Is it going to be early 2023? Is it going to be maybe March? That's going to play a big factor into it.
Right.
But I think that people are going to start accumulating sooner rather than later. Everyone knows this information. It's public. It just maybe people are waiting for the right time to dive in together. But I think that window is slowly closing. I think by the end of November, I think you're going to run out of that window.
I think it's a little bit of that game of chicken almost, where it's like people are waiting to jump in. Hey, was the price going to go lower? I would love to talk to Kevin Rose and the team about nesting and about these nesting rewards if they were to go back in time, because basically what they're setting themselves up for with all of these rewards as time goes on is little performance risks, right? Where it's like, hey, you need to deliver X, Y, and Z, and the market is going to be expecting this type of a catalyst where you're going to have volatility almost, where everyone's going to have their eyes on you and you have to deliver something that is going to be so hard to beat expectations. And if you do beat expectations, there's that next one where people are going to compare that as the next benchmark. So it is hard. And comparing that to Azuki doesn't necessarily have that. I know that's been the discussion that we've been talking about. But yeah, I hope that they do well. Maybe they take more of a phygital approach to some of these rewards that would take out some of the logistics, some of the costs that might be enacted with it. But I can't imagine like the fact that they have these to worry about almost kind of gets in the way of some of the other things that they can possibly explore and think about when they think about the 10-year or 5-year time horizon. They do need to worry about these little smaller picture things that come with the nesting rewards.
Yep, definitely. And right now, we're seeing the lowest amount of assets listed on OpenSea since that reveal of oddities and the Moonbirds Silver Nest rewards.
Oh, wow.
So they've been trending, down. We saw the oddities, approach that at 101 on the 29th of August. They're now sitting at 98. But I mean, that's the lowest we've been sitting since, we're looking at back to July. So the supply has been lowered. Positive news could, definitely push into that supply shock a little bit. I think we talked about this in the previous show. If you do have an oddity you are looking to flip, if you have a bit of a price target, maybe you can kind of get out into this pump and buy back in afterwards. So that's on bullish news for the gold nesting rewards. If it's underwhelming, if it's neutral news, I think we see this trend continue. Maybe a small local bottom that would probably be eaten up within a week or two. But I still think this is a great play, good patience play if you can jump in before we get closer to Mythics in 2023.
Yeah, and I'll let you take it from here as far as the next news piece. But the last thing I'll say on it is I think we'll be looking back at these 1.2, 1.3 ETH price points. We'll be like, damn, what the hell are we thinking, right? Trying to nickel and dime for some of these lower price points. But I think it's looking great, and I think this might be one where I personally don't know if there'll be too much of a, like, let's say Moonbirds or Proof just completely doesn't deliver on the nesting rewards, and you see Moonbirds hit like 8.5. I don't think that'll affect oddities too much as far as percentage goes, just because they are now tied to the mythics.
Yep, definitely. And I think maybe we'll have a space tomorrow. Maybe we'll try to get a space in and talk about those rewards if we do see some kind of crazy announcements. So keep an eye out for that. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. But moving on to other news, not taking up the whole day with Proof, we have Zeneca with some news. He's offering a 30-day of NFTs email series. It's designed for people who want to learn about NFTs. A very based course put together by some of the team over there. We have links to subscribe to that daily email series geared at a true beginner. Maybe something to turn on your friends who may be asking you, what's an NFT? How do I get in? How do I not get scammed? So take a look at that and have that linked out on the news feed. We saw Fluffworld make some changes to generative AI art thingies. So basically these thingies generate AI art on their own. They had a cooldown period. I believe they reduced or eliminated that cooldown period at the beginning, so they can start generating this AI art instantly. Interested to see that. I need to dive a bit more into that ecosystem, because that's one that's a bit popular, and I don't think I've done it the justice in terms of looking at all the pieces, understanding how it works. Going back to Proof, we saw an airdrop for the Linda Donia Grail holders. They got that iconic art pass that I believe has a floor close to 1 ETH now. So anyone who had that Grail piece got airdropped one of those iconic NFT art passes. Iconic NFT worked with Linda Donia for that Grail piece that came with a White House NFT like paired with it as well. So that's how Iconic NFT kind of fit in there. Big news coming out of the Wolf game. I think we talked about this a bit yesterday. So I was saying we were some kind of game. It's definitely not one that's as risky as I thought. It's more of a intended to increase the amount of wool staked, maybe lock up a bit more of that supply through the end of this game. But it's also going to generate more wool and make wool a bit more inflationary coming out of the alpha game. So the way it's going to work, you can stake wool. For each one wool you stake, you will earn 1 liquid wool at the end of this period. There's different caps on how much you can stake depending on your assets. We have all of those maximums listed here. And then there's also a team portion to this game where the most, like everyone in alpha game is basically on teams. So there's about, I think, 10 or 15 teams. They all are led by one wolf, and people have staked their sheeps and wolves and wool behind these teams throughout this long period. Now there's an additional team game. So it's basically trying to see who can stake the most wool during this period, during this last game. Who can stake the most wool, who can maximize their wool stake per asset. And the winners of those get additional wool distributed between their teams. We have the prizes there. We have all the payouts, all the information you need summarize the Shepherd's tweets on our newsfeed. Take a look into there. If you have any of those Wolf Game assets, definitely important to look at. I bought some wool last night on the breaking of this news. Saw the item come across our newsfeed. We saw the price of wool jump. I think it was around 7.4, 7.5 when we broke the news. Peaked up at around 0.88. I jumped in pretty close to here. I bought another ETH and a half of wool, speculating on it. I'm holding it to probably stake with my sheep. If we run up to 10 cents, I think I'm selling. There is a window where you can stake. You have until the 24th, which is next Tuesday.
Got it.
I believe.
So your play is you're going to hold it up until that deadline, and if it runs up to a specific price, you're going to go, okay, I'm going to sell here, and if it doesn't, then you're going to go ahead and stake it.
Yeah, well, I can only stake a portion of it. So
okay.
I want to try to sell the portion that I can't stake ASAP, because I'm worried that after that deadline, we're going to see more price drop as, potentially that game's over. It is the last wool catalyst that's been announced. I do have faith that they will announce more coming out of this. They've been very good at, game theory, keeping assets locked up, providing value, future value, deferring value, doing different things to benefit people who are staking. So they do a good job of keeping the supply low enough, but I want to make sure that, I'm exited or staked by the time that deadline comes around. And we'll keep you updated as well. Make sure you know when that deadline's approaching. We'll provide more information on our news feed as well. Jumping into the big Azuki news, we saw a few news items come out. We can dive into both of them right here. We had the Golden Skateboard auction announced and the physical backed token announced. So Azuki announced they're developing a new EIP, new Ethereum standard to support this physical backed token, where the physical item with the chip provided inside of it is the key to the digital NFT. So as that physical item changes hands, whoever has it can scan it at any time, and they now own the digital version of that item. So it's no longer tied necessarily completely to the digital. It's tied to the physical, which definitely makes a bit of sense. You don't have to worry as much about wallet security, making sure you are properly remembering your seed phrase, etc. If you do, for whatever reason, have an issue, lose control of the digital asset, you can always rescan the physical and have access in whichever wallet you prefer. And then on the back of that, we saw that there's going to be the Golden Skateboard auctions that goes there. I'm imagining they're coming with this chip embedded, and they're going to have that same digital tie-in. We're looking at 8 of the 9 skateboards being auctioned at azuki.com/auction for 24 hours. That'll be auctioning off on October 21st, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. The final skateboard is presumably reserved for Adrian Chang. That's the mogul we talked a bit about yesterday on the Spaces. There's a big Azuki whale, potentially maybe pre-purchase this one. Big real estate mogul in I believe Taiwan. So interesting to see this.
This is big. I mean, it got me pretty excited, but partially, I mean, Ray, we saw that run, and I know we covered it during our Spaces yesterday, but just for context, we saw 224 Beanz sales, 294 ETH in volume. They ran from a 0.9 ETH floor all the way up to, I saw 1.2 ETH, and then they pulled back their shin at 1.03. And it seemed pretty much to be out, lagging. Like we've been talking about earlier, there was that lag between that announcement and then this pump happening. So we don't even know if it's necessarily related to this, or if it's a clue of more to come, but we did see that pullback afterwards.
Yeah, we definitely saw the very sharp run, and we saw some, volume just stop, and then you can see just a smattering of sales here, all between the 1 and 1.2 ETH range. A couple of ETH offers accepted below 1 ETH. This kind of is, we talked about this yesterday, but we've had these news announcements, and we haven't seen that immediate run. Like we saw the CloneX announcement of the Animus project, and there weren't any sales for 5-10 minutes after that. We saw this announcement, there weren't any sales for 5-10. I think it might have even got closer to 30 minutes before we saw a ton of this action. So I think many people are on the sideline looking at this saying, hey, does this news really move the needle?
Right.
I was saying that for this. I was saying that for the Oniforce news. I don't think either of them moved the needle, but eventually people jumped in, it pumped, and then it retraced. The CloneX, I think, did move the needle a bit, but maybe that was just a matter of liquidity and that higher floor price on the clones, deterring some entry and slowing that down a bit. But we did see a nice little run there and then a small retrace afterwards.
And then while we were doing our spaces yesterday, Ray, I know you saw this come up as Bobu changed their banner. If you want to kind of pick this apart and walk people through what you see here.
Yeah, so I haven't looked at the Bobu account in a while, but I peeked over there when we were looking at all the metrics, looking at the price of Bobu. You mentioned that, check out their socials. He does a lot of shit posting, and the banner jumped out at me. The shop's open. You see that there's a couple beans inside of it. I believe that was boarded up before, but he does have a camera in his hand, so that lets me think that, hey, there's some sort of snapshot coming. Not sure if it's a bean snapshot. It would seem that that's the case, as the beans are prevalent in this picture. So something to watch out for. It could be a surprise announcement. Interesting to see what will happen here for sure. And I think I bought one last week. I may grab another if it continues to dip here. I think we're at 1.03 on OpenSea right now. Be interesting to see if that continues to dip, or if we hear more about this and continue this faster cadence of news.
And it's funny, this banner piece. It's again one of those things where it's like, hey guys, am I the only one seeing this? Am I the only one that's like, hey, is something going on here? And it's almost like, man, if there were someone that tweeted about this, or like some bigger account that was like, guys, I'm buying because of X, Y, and Z reason, there has to be a snapshot coming. I think that would make the price run up, right? So it's kind of like you're actually able to, if you're quick enough and you're able to decipher this type of information, you can actually front run some of the liquidity that can come into these markets, which is kind of an advantage that you didn't really have before during these big bull runs that we saw in January. Is a lot faster as far as the movement after the news.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you have to be careful of, there's less attention, so some of it's coming in slower, but then there's not as much momentum. There's not as many eyeballs to continue the pump. So as that pump kind of tops out, it does tend to fizzle before we see these things run like crazy, continue to run on FOMO to these high levels. Now, you're only running 20%. So it becomes, I can buy in, sell out at 20%, and then walk away with a bit of a profit after fees.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's enough beans talk from me. And maybe we can move back to the news.
Yeah, we definitely did talk a bit about it yesterday. We were covering that live on Spaces. Just trying to break down, catch the pump, talk about what we thought was going on there. In Solana land, we saw Toys R Us announce their NFT drop. They tweeted that they're excited to join the Solana community. They talked about how they're going to have a drop on Solana. Interesting to see. Fits the mold of your end of the road, resurrecting old nostalgic companies. Maybe everyone's looking to cash in on the target market that is the NFT market right now. So interesting to see that. We'll see how that develops. I don't know if we've had any of these big companies jump in on Solana yet. I don't know enough about the ecosystem, but interesting to see.
Solana was interesting for sure. But yeah, I mean, look, if I'm Toys R Us and I'm the execs and I'm sitting here and I'm like, guys, this is something we need to get into the digital collectible world. You don't have to spend anything on manufacture. You have no overhead. You can just print money essentially. To them, it's a no-brainer, right?
Right. So and what's the downside? Right. Oh no, like the Web3 community isn't happy with us. We're a rug, I guess, and then you move on.
Right. So we'll see whether or not they're a genuine effort, like Keith Grossman with Time, for example, is the way I look at them, or whether or not Toys R Us really wants to get into this space for real. Will be definitely something to watch for. If I were to give you my guess, my prediction is this is a little bit more of a short term. But they do have that relationship with Gary Vee and VeeFriends. So hopefully they have a little bit better of an understanding of the NFT space and what the capabilities are for the long term versus just trying to print money.
Yeah, for sure. One to watch. We have an announcement of the final project in the Art Blocks Curated Series 8 coming out on the 19th. So that's tomorrow. This will be the final item in the final series. We're looking at 1 p.m. drop as usual. This is called Primitives by Aranda Lash. We're seeing a 400 mint count. We're looking at a Dutch auction starting at 4 and ending at a floor of 0.25. We're looking at the proceeds going to nonprofit education facilities in Arizona, protecting the Sonoran Desert and its Native American culture. We have all the links there. We can take a look at some of the outputs as well as the Medium article with the interview of the artist. Definitely one I'm going to be monitoring. I'm pretty sure I'll be minting this at any stage. when volume comes in, being that I think it has historical value as the last, Series 8 curated project, the last project of the last series that's given that designation. There's going to be more curated projects, but they're not going to be designated as series.
Okay.
So this could be like the back bookend of the curated world. I could see people wanting to complete a set, then maybe have some value first and last. So a couple different angles here that could drive some value to these. I'm not overly impressed at first glance. It doesn't really fit my style. I don't know how appealing it will be to most people. I find that my taste sometimes, doesn't do a good job of capturing what others would like, but this just doesn't jump out to me as some of those do, where I can say, yeah, that one's going to be, definitely sought after due to just the art behind it.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely continue to monitor this, and I love your approach. It will hopefully you'll keep us posted tomorrow or whenever the auction is on October 19th. So it's tomorrow. So let us know how it goes, and we'll be tracking this side by side with you. Hopefully, you can keep us posted on how it goes, and it's a win for you.
Yep, absolutely. We'll keep this one unread tomorrow. Maybe drop it again, and just remind people to keep an eye out for it. We saw Mastercard offering to help banks with crypto trading, acting a bridge between Paxos, a crypto trading platform, and that's already used by PayPal. They've already teamed up with Coinbase on NFTs. So Mastercard jumping in a bit to the crypto market, being a little bit forward in that space. So interesting to see that. We'll see how that develops. If we see more of these Web2 financial companies jumping in, providing a bit more credence to crypto, providing a bit of more legitimacy and more faith, and bringing it a bit more to the masses. Doodle celebrated its 1-year anniversary yesterday. There's been community celebration, all kinds of art tweets reminiscing. K-Duck here, our Doodles curator, provides a number of different links, a couple of their tweets, raffle in their Discord to win vinyl toys, signed prints, etc. So be sure to check that out if you're a Doodles holder, if you're interested in the Doodles ecosystem.
Yeah, Ray, I had faint hope that this would be a catalyst and they would announce something. But it being Doodles, I should have tempered my expectations. But while we are talking about this, it was just possibly relevant. Just to get you, I want to give you a quick glance on the price points. It was topped out at 10.5 since August 1st. It bottomed out at that 6.5 ETH price point, and now we're sitting at 7.8. So when you look at Azuki, Moonbirds, CloneX, and Doodles, they are now last in the kind of competition here, or tied with CloneX, and then you have kind of the tier now of Moonbirds and Azuki. So we'll continue to monitor this kind of race of the four. They've all been neck and neck as time goes on. So I'll let you. Just want to give you a quick look at this.
Yeah, definitely. And Mutants have been part of that as well, and they've separated a bit from that pack, which is interesting to see. It's almost like the kennel clubs in this pack now, which is. It's crazy to think of, looking at when some of these projects were in the 20, 30 ETH range. Another announcement coming out of Zen Academy. We saw Zeneca, announce that they're working on a PFP full steam. There's no timeline, and the utility will kind of mirror their general values. So something to keep a lookout for. A few of these community focused NFTs have been teasing PFPs, probably just waiting for the right time to drop. To be honest, I don't know that right now is a great time for any of these to really risk execution risk and have some sort of failure. So, why not develop, really build, make sure that all the utility is planned out and thought after. There really is no pressing time period here, especially if you already have the traction that some of these do have to rush something out. So something to be aware of. We'll keep you updated. I know the Nifty, those guys are also working on a PFP as well. Seems like it's kind of be a similar type of offering, reflecting the vibes of that community. We have an opportunity for cyber broker holders. There is a raffle to win a cyber broker for player 0 HQ Maraverse holders. So we have instructions on how to win that. If you want to take a chance, join Discord. I think you need to go to the giveaway channel and follow the instructions there. So an opportunity to win a potentially valuable asset in a cyber broker. We saw the Chimpers announce an NFT London event. You can now claim tickets for the NFT London event that's being held on November 4th to register, verify your ownership of the Chimpers on the Token Proof app. So download that Token Proof app and you can verify there, get your tickets for that London event if you hold a Chimpers NFT. We saw our weekly Vayner Sports Pass from NFT Loverboy talking a bit about the Black Card Participation Trophy, the Black Card Raffle number 61. There's also a VSP and MFers partner raffle we talked about, and more Black Card airdrops went out. He has more information in a full-fledged Twitter thread we link to as well if you want to dive deeper into some of those topics. We saw Matoshi from World of Women release the instructions for the gala tickets. They're going live today, noon Eastern time, so 55 minutes. It's going through Token Proof. We have all the instructions to claim your tickets right here on the site. So if you hold a World of Women, be sure to jump in there at noon. I know some of these events have tended to sell out. I know there's a lot of demand for the proof. I'm sure there'll be a lot of demand for the World of Women in Miami. Should be a good party. Definitely check that out and register if you hold those tokens. Another London show, Rec Guy is holding a show. It's going to be free for all Rec Guy holders, open bar. It's at the Box in London. It's on Thursday, November 3rd, 8 p.m. to midnight local time. There's full details we link out to. So if you're holding Rec Guys, make sure you check that out. If you are in the London area, it seems like we're getting a bit more of these live London events now. Seeing, Proof did their roadshow, Rec Guy, Chimpers all heading over there, holding those parties.
London's the place to be.
Yeah, maybe have to fly us over. Tom's listening to fly us over to London. We can have our WGMI event over there for all of our London holders. Speaking of international, I guess we talked about this yesterday, huh? We talked about the International Day orders. That's still open. You can go to the VFriend shop if you are an international resident and you want to order those collectibles. That is open. We also saw from Memeland, they gave away $1,000 in a gym stipend to 69 Potatoz holders. So that's an interesting little mechanic, an interesting little giveaway they have. They're doing a bunch of those kind of odd but interesting giveaways that are pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's the way I'm starting to look at these is it's a little bit of a way to retain these holders that are like, hey, I can win. Oh, imagine if I won a gym membership and I could start going to the gym again and all these different things. But the other thing is it's a great marketing tool, right? It gets me thinking like, hey, wow, 69 people win $1,000, $69,000. There's 10,000. I have an X% chance to win. And as a result, I mean, it's what's been, I think it's a great marketing play for the Potatoz. Although, check out these listings, right? I mean, we're seeing the highest listings since almost a month ago. So it could be a chance to see Potatoz potentially seeing a bit of a further dip. I've been eyeing these like crazy. I haven't been able to find any below 1.15. I would love to get in below 1.1 since that's kind of been the resistance beforehand. So I'll keep an eye out. Usually listings move first as far as floor price goes. Listings lead the way. When listings go up, it usually takes a few 5, 6, 7 days for then the floor price to catch up. So it'll be something we'll keep in mind as this plays out.
Yep, definitely. We don't like to see floor price down and listings up. We like it when listings are going down with the floor price to find that local bottom. So this is definitely one to add to the list to monitor. Keep an eye on. I'm sure at some point it's going to pop up on the list if they don't add additional value to that staking mechanism they have. If the value of that is slowly diminishing as they're giving away more and more of these, if there's less raffles remaining for the Memeland collection, I imagine that you don't have as good a chance to win as you did if you had one throughout the whole process. Right. So I think we're seeing a bit of that action. So it'll really depend on how many of these ancillary rewards they can source, how much of it they can afford, and see where they're at going forward.
Yeah, you usually like to see this dynamic, except the green line is the floor price and the blue line is the listings. You like to see the inverse of this. So again, but with these, I mean, at the same time, it is only 140 listed. So it does have that quicker turnaround time and it moves faster than some of these 10,000 PFPs that have 10% listed or 5% listed. So definitely something to turn around here. Typically, we've seen the Potatoz listings move a lot faster than the typical collection.
Yep, one to monitor for sure. That wraps it up for the newsfeed, though. I don't know if you've had anything else you've been watching outside of the newsfeed.
Yeah, I as far as I usually look for the project of the day, and as I was saying earlier, nothing really sticks out to me at this time that because I'm just benchmarking everything to oddities and beans, since that's kind of been as we've been talking kind of talking our mouths off about it, is we're looking to get into these ecosystem. We see these as the best long-term plays, and we're looking for a discount here. So when I compare, like, okay, genuine and dead at 0.73. I don't like that. I compare to the value that I could get for a Beanz, right? I'd rather save my ETH. And Ranga, this could be a potentially good buy, but I want to see more volume here. And they've been extremely inactive on the social media front. So other than that, like there's nothing that sticks out to me other than like a short-term play of being able to get in at like an 8 Liens or a Rare 8 Pepe Yacht Club, some of those more degen plays. But as of today, I'm sitting on my hands. I'm looking for a good entry point, and just going to continue to go in data gathering mode during this bear market, and see this kind of royalty in the marketplace war play out for today. So no project for today, Ray, but we'll be watching for oddities, beans as for the rest of the week.
Yeah, nothing for me either. Like I think we covered it pretty much. Like, hey, just we have Moonbirds tomorrow. We'll be keeping a close eye on that. We'll be monitoring any new projects, any new action, any news, but nothing really jumping out is something I need to dive into and really keep an eye on today.
Yeah, and one of the things you want to be looking for is like, when you sort by 1 day listings, for example, or when you sort by 1 day volume, you want to see some green in the listings. You want to see something that kind of encourages you there, but not a lot there to be excited about. You just see a lot of red on the 1 day listing. So it kind of begs the question, like, okay, I'm not really going to find a good entry point or something that's going to go up in value in the short term. So it is kind of that wait and see approach. Don't rush into anything. There's not a lot of liquidity to go around anyways. So you kind of wait and see, look for these catalysts. And look for a play that draws out to you. But if you do find something, be sure to let us know. However, that does wrap up what we have for today, Ray. A lot of fun today. I think we covered a couple of really good topics. Be sure to join us tomorrow, guys, at the same time, 7:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and DM us the word newsfeed for a chance to win a 7-day trial to use all of our tools. And we'll catch you tomorrow. Ray, I'll let you wrap it up.
Yep, like Clemente said, thank you for listening. Glad to have you here with us. If you like what you see, you can access all of this tooling by minting our all-access beta NFT. Provides you access to all portfolio, newsfeed, data analytics, custom charts, project explorer, all the data to give you that competitive advantage in the NFT market. Available at 0.095 ETH will give you access to the end of the year and act as your discounted access pass going forward. Owning this into 2023 will provide a discount on future subscription. Head over to WGMI.io and click the Mint All Access Beta NFT button to mint. Thank you for hanging out with us.